Howdy do y'all, this is John, and today we are talking about Sinners, a new movie out in theaters right now. And in Sinners, it deals with these two brothers. It is the 1930s, and they decide to open their own juke bar down in Mississippi. However, unfortunately, bad things happen on opening night. The juke bar gets attacked by a trio of vampires who are now trying to turn everyone in the juke bar into vampires. And thus we have our movie. Now, getting into it, first and foremost, what I liked about the movie, I think that Ryan Coogler as a director was very on point with this film. Ryan Coogler was very on point with this movie, with its tone, with its direction, with its pacing, everything like that. Everything was on point. And on top of that, you also have some good acting in this movie. Michael B. Jordan plays the twin brothers. He plays them both at the same time. And the dude, he's just great. He's a terrific actor. And this movie really highlights his talents as an actor. When the brothers, I think they're called the Smokestack Twins, because that's their nicknames. One of them is nicknamed Smoke, the other Stack. With the Smokestack Twins, whenever they got intense, or were supposed to be intense, Michael B. Jordan was intense. I'm just saying, dude nailed it. Also, Miles Catan as Sammy, this little boy that hangs around the Smokestack Twins. He's also terrific in this movie. This is the first, movie I've seen him in. I don't know if Catan's been in anything else. To be quite honest, I don't even know if that's how you pronounce his last name. I apologize if that's the case, but, heck, it took me years to figure out how to pronounce Kari Hiroki Tagawa, so there you go. But Sammy, he's supposed to be, this innocent young guy who's not involved in any of the harsher, things about life in the 1930s, some of which, you don't need much of a history lesson to figure out, because of everything that was going on in the 1930s, from the Great Depression to Jim Crow laws, all that horrible stuff, some of which were unavoidable. Others, like Jim Crow, never should have happened in the first place. He's this innocent guy in a harsh time period. And, Catan just plays that character incredibly well. And yeah, I had to make sure I gave him a shout out, because he's that good. And I hope he has a good career ahead of him. There's also some really good storytelling in the film. At least half of it, is entirely encapsulated in this one area. And the simplicity of it being completely located in this one little area kind of helps a little bit, because you don't want to make it too big. It's a horror film. Horror movies should not be massive or grandiose. They should be small and contained. On top of that, and all of the characters are making the right choices, they're just simply in a very intense situation. And believe it or not, none of this was their fault. The vampires just found a bunch of people. That's it. And believe it or not, even the mistakes that they make in the film aren't entirely their fault. They were reacting to, like I said, an intense situation, and goofed something up. And you don't blame them for making those mistakes. Now, in terms of problems with the movie, I would argue that the horror element isn't really as strong as it should be. You can tell they're trying, however, it just isn't a very scary movie. They've got all the right ingredients, however, maybe it's because they show a little too much. They make things too obvious for the audience. They make it obvious who the vampires are. They make it obvious whenever, one of the characters is bitten by a vampire. You know, very little effort to conceal that stuff, and I think that's probably what did the movie's horror element in. I also think that, you know, it probably would have been better if the ending was a little more ambiguous, where you have to figure out exactly what these characters' fates are. Because unfortunately, the movie does wrap everything up in a nice little bow. You know what happens to these characters. You know what kind of life they're going to live afterwards, if even at all. Instead of wrapping up in a little bow, maybe instead just leave it off at like a cliffhanger, make the audience try to figure out what happens next. Kind of like Christopher Nolan's Inception. You know, left off with a cliffhanger, and you're not going to know what happens next. You have to figure out yourself. You have to figure out what the ending means. So guys, at the end of the day, Sinners, I thought this was a really good movie. It has its problems, however, it more than makes up for it with really strong storytelling, incredible direction from Ryan Coogler, great acting, and, you know, like I said, I really liked this film. I'm going to give Sinners an 8. Well, that's all the time I have for today. Please look forward to more videos real soon. Please click the like button if you enjoyed this video. Please also subscribe if you're new to the channel. And as always, please remember, the Badetsky will return.